Hello there, so today I'm going to talk to you about two different Macebells. So, the Strength Shop Macebell and a Wolverson Fitness Macebell. So, some of the questions I often get asked when I steal Mace classes is how heavy should I go? Where do I get one from? So hopefully today we're going to do a comparison showing the two Macebells I use in my classes at least, and then we'll get into a little bit of a comparison about them. So to clear things up, I'm not affiliated with the Strength Shop or Wolverson at all. I will put links in the description below to their shops so you can find them yourself, but I personally get nothing out of it. This is purely to help you guys make a decision over which Macebell to go for. So we'll start with the Strength Shop Macebell. This is a 3 kilograms, so it's the lightest one they do. And they range from 3 kilograms to 15 in increments of 3 kilograms. So 3, 6, here's my math going, 9, 12, 15 kilo. And this one is currently on the shop for £30 and it's £8 delivery. So you're talking 38 quid to get one of these to your front door. I'm not sure if the heavier ones have higher packaging prices. I've never had to order one, so I don't really know, but this is comparing the two lowest versions. It's a rod of steel, you know, there's not a lot to be said about it. The knurling it looks like it's been knurled twice in terms of the quality. So you can see one level of knurling and then you can see another pattern of knurling sort of just off center. So it looks like it's been done twice. And it's relatively smooth, so it's not too coarse, this knurling, which has its pros and cons. It makes it a little bit softer on the hands, but surprisingly enough, it makes it more grippy. A very smooth mace is actually quite grippy. Something that did happen, the Strength Shop logo, as you can see, there's absolutely nothing there because it fell out within the first 10 minutes, okay? So, is that the end of the world? No. Does it still work? Of course it does. However, 10 minutes, come on. That could have been improved. Finish, as you can see, there's lots of little chips around the globe. All Macebells will, and around the edge of the tail as well. All Macebells will, they get a little bit chipped. It's just something that happens. The good thing is that we've had the chips and there's no rust now. I have some other mace where there are chips and it's starting to go brown underneath rather than staying shiny silver. However, I do believe this one in particular hasn't seen much use outside, whereas some of the other Macebells have, so they've got a little bit wet as well. So that can play a factor. On to the Wolverson Fitness. So, Wolverson Fitness, this is 4 kilograms. It's the lightest one they do, and their increments go up in 1. So you get 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and then 12. So the last one is a 2 kilogram increment. This one starts at £45, so quite a bit more, but delivery is cheaper at £6. Again, I don't know if you ordered the heavier ones, would that incur a higher cost? The finish is a little bit better and the knurling is a little bit deeper, so it's a little bit coarser. It actually helps hands slide when we've got a coarse knurling, however, it does make it a little less grippy. It depends what you're doing. If you're doing complex work, then it's not really going to grip, isn't too much of a problem anyway. Doing flow work, you do actually want your hand to slide a little bit as you adjust grips. So actually that's quite good. As you see, the finish, there's little chips here and there as well. Again, it's just steel mace or a steel rod is what's meant to happen. Now at the moment, I say at the moment, the logo is currently still attached. It is actually peeling away a little bit. And when I bought this one, I bought it with a group of others for my classes. Some of the logos have already fallen away. Now, I do believe since I've ordered these, Wolverson have changed that logo at the end. It's a little bit different now, but I can't say whether that's actually any more durable or not. But again, just a logo falling off, what does it matter, to be safe? And I do believe on the new ones, whereas this one has no embossed weight, I think the new ones do. They have a weight embossed, so it's stamped in to the end. It's not particularly visible, it's still black on black. But if you're running classes or you like that sort of thing, maybe you might want to go for that. Let's first talk about the weights then, because I did say where do you get them from, so Wolverson and Strength Shop, and what weights do you need. So generally speaking, ladies tend to start with a 3 kilogram, gents tend to start with a 5 kilogram, but it all depends on your training. How experienced are you? How are you with strength training? So if you're quite experienced strength trainer, you might be able to get away with a higher weight. If you're new to exercise completely, you might want to go with a lower weight. Talking in terms of longevity then, you might want to start with a 3 kilogram for sure. You know, maybe you're a little bit nervous, don't really know where to go, you can't go wrong with a 3. I think any lighter than that, the mace become wood, and they become really expensive because they're handmade as well. So I think a 2 kilogram mace, you're talking £120, I think, each. And they're from the US, then you've got import tax, delivery, blah, 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 blah. So probably the lightest you can get is about 3 kilograms. I do believe Gravity Fitness might do a shorter 3 or 2 kilogram, maybe. So they're talking a lot shorter, which makes it lighter and also makes it better for shorter height. But generally, yes, you are talking, they are a set length, but you can always choke up and down the mace as and when you need to. If you're looking to do this for a long time thing, or long term, you might be better off going with a 4 kilogram, because then you've got progression of, you can start with a 3 kilogram, get used to it, but then when you need another weight, you've got to go out and buy another one. So although the Wolverson's more expensive at £45, you haven't got to buy a £30 mace and then go out and buy, I think the next weight up's £35 to £40. So overall, you're making a saving getting a 4 kilogram to start with. And then it's a general good all round. You can do flow work, you can do complex work with it. You can't do competition work because then you need heavy ones. So you might be better off getting a 4 kilogram, seeing it through, and just adjusting your training style rather than training weight. Whereas with a 3 kilogram, yeah, you can still adjust your training style and training weight, but you start to notice it gets easier quicker with a 3, and you might need to upgrade sooner. So let's do a more one-on-one or 1v the other. One difference with the Wolverson versus the Strength Shop is the end of the handles. So you may be able to see on the Wolverson, we've got a lip on the end of the handle, whereas on the Strength Shop, we don't. So that can be really handy, especially when you're doing 360s, things like that. You've got a physical marker at the end of the mace where you can feel your little finger starting to slip off, and it can give you an indication of actually, okay, my grip's going, either I need to stop or I need to re-grip a bit higher up. And personally, I like that. That little lip, it does have a downside if you do catch yourself in the shin with the handle. So if you're ever doing a sword swing, that lip digs in a bit more. And if you ever drop the mace, that can get rough as well. So you might just need to file that down, but it does give you a physical marker, an indication as to where you are. Whereas the Strength Shop, it's a little plastic rim. So you drop it, it doesn't get so rough so much. And if it hits your shin, it doesn't really bite in so much. But you don't have as much of physical markers. You still feel your little finger coming off, but it's just a little less than having just a little bit of an anchor point just to keep holding on, to keep you going for those few extra swings. I've already discussed the weights. So Strength Shops have a lighter weight, which can be good for beginners, but the increments go up in 3s, and when you're holding a kilogram out at length, you feel it, okay? 2 kilograms quite a jump, 3 kilograms quite big actually to hold out at full length. So there's a bit of a downside of Strength Shop. It would be nice to see them go up in single increments, single kilogram increments. I think they're following like the dumbbell convention of going up in 2.5 kilograms, which works for dumbbells. They're very stable, but when you've got a bit of weight on the end of a stick that you're trying to hold out and move all over the place, yeah, you feel a kilogram straight away. So I'd prefer to see that. So Wolverson have got the up there with single kilogram increments. I've already spoken about longevity, so you could go for a 4 kilogram instead of a 3, or I started with a 5 kilogram, so I went with the convention of men start with 5, ladies start with 3. I've had my 5 now for a good few years, and it's the go-to steel mace. Yes, I've got a 7, I've got my big hammer that's 16, I've got 3s, I've got 4s, but it's the 5 that keeps coming out of the cupboard. It's the one that keeps getting used. It works me well enough muscular-wise, and it also works me well enough cardiovascular-wise. So 5's are good. If you only had to get one, I'd say go for a 5 or maybe a 4. If you are quite content with getting a selection, a collection, then yeah, start with a 3, get a 4 from Wolverson, then maybe get a 5, and so on and so forth. And it's your collection really, so you can do what you want to do. One subtle difference is the globes, okay? So the Strength Shop globe isn't particularly round. Does it make a difference? Not really. You can still do globe catches, you can still do holds. You could argue that because it's got a little bit more of a flat surface on, if it does hit, you've got a surface area rather than a globe. There'd only be one part of impact. So you could argue it's a little bit safer, but it doesn't look quite so good. Who knows? You know, does it make a difference? Not really. Whereas the Wolverson is much more circular, much more machined. It makes a little bit of a difference. You still grip, which is just fine for any globe control. I'd argue maybe a little bit easier because you can really wrap your fingers around and sort of hook underneath around the globe. Whereas with the flatter, you can only get like my fingertips around the end of the globe rather than starting to get sort of knuckle as well. And if you, especially on the heavier ones where the globe gets bigger, that flat edge gets deeper, so you get even less sort of hook grip around the globe. I think they're both rated for tyre slams, so they're both welded, they're not screwed on. The Wolverson Fitness has a much neater weld to it, whereas the Strength Shop is cheaper, but the weld is a little bit rougher. Now, I've not noticed any crack in any of my mace, any cracks in either Strength Shop or Wolverson. So the welds are obviously working. One just looks better than the other. One's got a slightly better finish, but the better finish has a higher cost. So it's down to you, really. So some of the Wolversons that I have ordered, when I ordered a few for the class, and a friend of mine ordered one as well. I don't know if it was just the time, because it was shortly after lockdown, but there seems to be something inside the handles. The handles are hollow. And some of the mace, you can move them, you can hear something rattling around inside. Does it change anything? No. Does it make it any heavy? It's not, it must be like a little shred of steel, perhaps, because it's not like having a lead ball in there. When you move, it's not like you can feel the hit. It just sounds like there's a little bit of loose material inside the handle, and it rattles around as you go. Does it still work as a mace? Yes. Does it still lift? Yes. Is it annoying? To be honest, I haven't really noticed it, and I've usually got some sort of music on anyway, so I can't hear it. It's only when, you know, I've got no music on, when I'm just moving the mace around, I can hear it, but I don't think it really makes a difference. So you've got the pros and cons. Wolverson's a little bit more expensive than the Strength Shop, but the Strength Shop is lighter and has a slightly smoother knurling. If I was to pick one, personally, I prefer the Wolversons, okay? It's better, yes, they're more expensive, but it's a better finish overall. I prefer the slightly rougher knurling, and the real winner is the lip on the end of the handle for me. That's the big one, and generally the finish is just a bit better. So if I go and buy another one, which I probably will at some point, it will more than likely be a Wolverson over a Strength Shop. So if you've had an experience with steel mace, or you know where else you can get them from to help the rest of the people in the UK out, do let me know. I do know you've got companies like On It and Set for Set. Apparently they make some fantastic steel mace, but they come from the US, so you've got to think about import and shipping for those. Drop a thumbs up on the video, and hopefully I'll see you over on our social media, where you'll get to see more things like exercises, flows with the steel mace, especially my Instagram account. That's where all that stuff kind of goes. Cool. So hope you enjoyed that, and I'll see you soon.